Hello and welcome back to K&F Design. If you're new here, my name is Katie, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make some Valentine's Day cards. I have two different styles for you, so if you have a Glowforge, this is a nice version, or if you have like a Cricut or another cutting machine, you might want to make this one. I also made some little inserts to write your note on and then slip inside the cards as well. So I have those in my design as well. So the first thing you will need to decide which one you want to make, or if you want to make both. So if you're making the wood one, you'll need some wood and a machine that can do the engraving and the cutting. Now, a Cricut Maker machine can cut the wood, and it's a pretty good size, so it should be able to cut out these shapes, but then maybe you'll use cardstock or paint or something else for the engraving pieces. But if you have a Glowforge, you can do all of it on that or similar machines. And then for that, I used a wood glue, or you could even use a super glue like Gorilla Glue to assemble it. For the cardstock one, I used just a white glue with a fine point tip, and then depending what type you want to make, so you need the cardstock for it, and if you want to make like the little sticker I did here, you need a pen. I used a pen as well to make those. I actually did iron-on for the love up here and cut out this, but I'll show you this different stuff that you could use. So depending what materials you want on your card and how you want it to look will depend what materials you'll want to use. I also actually did some foiling around the edge of mine, which sometimes it's hard to see from this view here. So you can decide if you want some of the foiling or the Cricut to write on it, if you want to cut this out, or if you want to iron it on like I did, or maybe just make it easy and have it also written on with the pen. It's your choice. There's a lot of different options, and depending what options you pick, depends on what materials you need for this. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video so we can keep crafting. So with that, let's get crafting. I have just uploaded both my designs into Cricut Design Space. I have the notes and stickers as well as the envelope. I put them in two separate files just so you have more versatility with how you want to make it. So if you want to make the envelope in Glowforge and make it out of wood, which I'll show later in this video, then you don't want the notes and the stickers in that file. So that way you can open it separate, or maybe you just want to make the notes or the stickers, but you don't want the rest of the file. That's why I separated it. So the first thing we need to do is ungroup all of our designs so we can work with it. And this one's also ungrouped, our second file here. I'm just going to move this one down out of the way first and work with this one. This here is for the Glowforge, or you could use it as a spacer for this envelope. I'm not going to cut it, so I'm just going to hide it, or you could delete it. If you want to use it and cut it out of either some foam or thick cardboard, something like that, craft board, you can do that if you want. Next, this is the front of our envelope. My lines were in black, so when you put it in Cricut Design Space, it turns it all black. It's actually in front of our other design, so I first want to go to Arrange and just send that to back, so now we can see everything. The black's really dark, so I'm just going to change it. Let's do this light pink color. I'm not sure what color I'm going to do my piece yet, but you can play around with the colors and see what you like if you want. I might do a red actually. So let's just change that to a nice red. Then I have this purple line. You could use a marker and just draw it with the Cricut, which means you would need to go here and do pen. You can even do foil, and you can do, let me zoom in just a little bit. You could do the thin line or a bold line, just depends how much you want it to see. If you want to do some gold, that's what you would do. Then next we have I love you, and again, you could foil it, you could do it in a pen. If you did basic cut, then you'd be able to see through that. I think I'm going to do a pen for that. And then I think each of these little stamp looking pieces I'm also going to do as a pen. If you wanted to foil it, you could just hit foil and it would look like that. But I think I'm going to do a pen. And you can change the colors of the pens if you want. So one last thing we need to do here is we want the gold on this piece of red that's going to get cut out. So we need to select all of this and hit attach. You can also go over to this right hand side and select each piece if you want as well, and then hit detach, hit attach, and that just makes sure it stays on your piece when you go to make it. If you hit make it and let's say that I love you is on a separate mat off by itself, then you just did not hit attach. So that also will move together. So other piece here, we'll zoom out just a little bit. Again, it's black, so it's hard to see. So let's change it to a red. We'll do that same red. This love here, we could have it as a cutout so you can see through it. You can also have your Cricut cut this out and then have it as a raised piece. Just watch how thick it is, so you don't want to get it too thin. And then same with this hood. I think I kind of want to cut it out. I'm just going to do white just so you can see that it's a cutout. It doesn't really matter. And then if you want to do the love written in a pen, we can change it to a pen like that and color it in, and we would attach all of it. You could also foil it, or if you want to cut it out, and if you want to cut it out like the hood, then just leave it like that. If you want to cut it out as a separate piece and then put it on, then just move it off to the side. But if you want it on for drawing, foiling, or actually cut out through there, then just select it all and hit attach. So right now it's all going to be cut out, which I don't want, so I'm going to detach it. And it just changed it to red. It's okay. And then we can see how it looks by dragging this over. If it goes behind it, just move it to the front. So we can see that's how our envelope will look. Technically this will be clear, you can see through that, and then this piece here, you can see through it, and I'm just going to show you with this square here. So when we put our envelope in, you'll be able to see some of it. So it'll be like we put the little letter in there. Okay, I'm just going to delete that because we don't need it. So these pieces are good to go, and we can print them like that. If you want to make your little notes and stickers, they're down here. I did a little thing with our stickers here. I did 2 different ones, just depending how you want to cut them. If you want to do a print and cut or just have it drawn on with your Cricut, so that's why they look different. Again, the black is just dark, so we'll change it to white and arrange center back, so now you see all of the letters and words. So if this is a sticker, right now it's cut. If you wanted to draw it with a pen, that's how it would look. Now with this one, since it's all the same, when you turn it to a pen, it looks like that. It's just a little different, just depends which one you like better. I'm gonna go back just a second. You could also do a print then cut as well, and that's why I did this one. It erases your circle. If you wanted, you could put another circle around it, and you just have to cut that. So for this, let's hide the circle. I would highlight, select all of that, print then cut, and then we can go back and find a circle that we hid. Oops. So here's the one we hid, and we can bring it back. And so that's still the print then cut, or that's still cut, but now this is the print then cut. And we have a circle that's just going to cut around it. So if you want to do it that way, you can. And then this one, that's what it would look like as a print then cut. And then again, you just have to do the same thing or make your own circle if you want. I am going to just hit the back space. Okay. I'm just going to have my Cricut pen draw that for us. But you do want it to cut the outside line, so make sure you have that as a cut. And then I think actually I might like this one better. I'll probably end up doing both of them for you though. And we just want to change a circle to a cut. It turned it black, that's fine. We'll just change it to white so we can still see it. And then don't forget to hit attach. And then we will attach. You could also foil all this in as well. Just hit foil instead of the cut. Alright, so now there's just one thing we need to do with this. This is all going to be cut out, which is fine and perfect. But these little lines in between, they need to be what is it? A score line. So they just became dotted, and it's just those little lines there. And then same with this one here. You want that line, and then that line, the two little dash lines. We just need those to be scored instead of cut. You don't want to attach those because we want to cut those separate. And that way they're different colors, and same with these little blue, light blue sections. So I'm going to try and cut my love out and then put it on top of this, so I just moved it aside. Also, don't forget to attach these score lines with the piece. Just hit attach when you select them all. So that's what everything should look like. And let's just make sure everything is attached. And if not, you can always come back and attach them. And that's it. We'll hit make it. If it asks on a mat, and I'm doing the 12 by 12. So we have a love. We have the hook cut out of the envelope. We're going to foil, draw the two stamps and the I love you. So we have pen, foil, and then it'll cut all of this out. We have our two little pieces of paper that we'll write our note on. And then the blue one, little pieces to write the notes on. I'm not going to do it these colors, but I just didn't change the color, that's fine. We'll do a score lines, and then we'll cut around, and then we will draw with our pen these circles, and then it'll cut it out. They were a little close to each other, so you might move them away a little bit if you want. Again, I'm not going to make them on purple, but you can do whatever cardstock material you want. And then our last one, it'll be scored on these lines so we can fold it like an envelope, and then the shape will be cut out. So we'll just hit continue and make it. And your settings will depend on the cardstock and material that you use. Also, if you are using cardstock that's not the 12 by 12, it doesn't fit exactly on the mat, you can go down here to material size and then select a typical is 8.5 by 11, and it'll automatically change it for you. And this grayed out area is where your cardstock will not go. But if this piece here is larger than that 8.5 by 11, so it will not give it to you as an option because it won't fit on that size paper. So here's everything we need for our two cards here. There's a wood version and the paper version. So it looks like a lot, but you would technically only need to make one. I think the wood one has the least pieces, so I'll start with that. And so if this one I used a Glowforge and cut out my pieces. I did a score line for the outlines here on my envelope. You could do score lines, but I actually engraved these pieces and this, and then I decided to cut my hood out and that one. So these are extra pieces you don't need, but you could use them if you wanted. And then that's going to be a little spacer. So when you put the top on, you can then slide your little note inside. And there's that little gap there. So I'll show you how to make the paper envelope after I glue this. So it's super easy, just put some glue here, set it down, then glue this side and set it down. Again, these are extras. You can put them on if you want, but it's not needed. You could also paint your wood, stain your wood as well if you want. That's all we have to do, and we'll just let that dry. For a cardstock version, because yes, the Glowforge version is a lot easier, simple to do, doesn't look as complex, but they're expensive machines that not everyone has and can do that with. You could probably cut out the basic wood shape with a Cricut machine. I don't typically cut wood with my Cricut because I have the Glowforge, so I have not tried that. But it's a thick enough piece that you could. So the main part, we just did that, and that with our wood, it's the same process, and then the piece of paper can go in here. Since you could do that little border that I did to get a little bit of a spacing, but it's not necessary, and so I'm just going to apply glue just to my edges and then leave all this open for my little envelope to go inside. I also made kind of little stickers, and they will go on my little envelopes. But again, that's just extra I wanted to do. I'll show that to you later. These little hoods are just extra cutouts. So that one came from there, and that one came from there. You can use them if you don't want to print this out, then maybe you print that there, whatever you want. They're extra hoods that you can use if you want. So put those aside. I decided to use double-sided cardstock, so it's a lighter pink and a darker pink. So you could, so it makes it look like an envelope, I'm placing it like that. So the dark side is there and then here, and then the inside's a little bit lighter. If you wanted it all the same, you could. I got a little fancy with my outside. I decided to foil the lines. You could just use your pen and have it do that. Then I used a pen for this and this. And then you could use a pen for that, or I cut it out. Again, it just depends what settings you tell your Cricut to do. But it's, like I showed you, really easy. You just literally click what you want it to do. And you could also write this love here with the pen if you wanted to. I did, originally I thought, oh, I'm just gonna cut it out and then glue it on. But since it's so thin, it's kind of wobbly too because it's a thin style, so it got a little stretched. And so I decided to try foil on. So this is a glitter iron-on, then I'm just gonna iron right onto it. And yeah, you can iron on cardstock, and I'll show you how to do that. I think let's do that first before we do anything else. Okay, so just so I know where to place my iron-on glitter, I'm going to leave this here just for now so I can place it. I'll line it up where I think it should go and looks good. And then we can remove that just so it's out of our way when we go to iron. Now this has this nice carrier sheet, but since some of my cardstock is exposed, I'm going to use, you could use a butcher paper. This is a Teflon sheet, just something to kind of cover and protect this cardstock here. I would only go with, I'm using just an iron, household iron, and placing it for about 5 seconds at a time. So lay a piece of either a towel or a heat mat down. Make sure all your cardstock is covered, and just do a little bit of that heat for short amounts of time so you don't burn your cardstock. I'm doing about a medium temperature on this little iron here. You could do the easy presses as well. I just don't have a small easy press, so I think that works better for me. And then it's not going to be quite ready yet, but you can just keep kind of pulling up a corner, so see some of it's starting to stick, just to kind of test it. Kind of nice because then there's some texture to it as well. Sometimes the heat can make the cardstock warp a little bit, so if that seems to be the case, just to be careful, you can put a weight of some sort, just something flat on top to help keep it shape while it cools. So as that dries, I'm going to work on my little pieces here for writing my notes. So you might not be able to see, but in my design we had a score line. So I'm just going to forward on that score line and then again. So it kind of makes it look like a little envelope. And then we can put a sticker there if we want. Now I cut these little squares to place in here. And that's what I'm going to be writing on. My cardstock has a rough side and a smoother side, so I'm going to put the smoother side up so it's easier to write on. I'm going to set that one aside to dry. And the next one here is kind of an accordion. So I'm going to fold those on that score line. I'm going to go every other, just back and forth, so it's kind of a pop-up. So I went in, out, and you can fold it other ways if you want, just kind of depends how you want it to open. And then for this one, I was kind of thinking of bending it to go like this, or I might just stick it right on the front. If I do it like that, it'll cover that though, so I could even fold it in this way and stick it on the front that way, and then you open it like that. I could still do the fold over, kind of just whatever way you like. And same thing, I'm just going to glue on this rough side here so it's easier to write. And then lastly for this, we just need to glue that on there. So again, just do the outside line. And then we can still slide a little note inside, but I'm going to let that dry first. For these, I'm just going to do a double-sided sticker, and that's what I'm going to place on those. So here's what all the finished pieces look like, and you can just take your little envelope after you write your note and slide it right inside. You could even try to line it up with your sticker if you want. Or you could slide it into this one here. Then it could look like that. And then you just pour it out. Careful with that. And then there's your note inside. These little extra pieces, you could just throw them on. Maybe randomly throw them on here. Or you could put them on these, whatever you want to do with it. If you want to add some color. Just kind of whatever you want to do with those. But that's all there is to it. So what did you think of our project? You'll have to let me know which one you made, or if you made both of them, let me know that as well. and as well, which one is your favorite. The only thing left to do is to write a secret little note inside and then put them inside. If you want it to be a little bit thicker for the wood so you can fit a thicker piece of note inside, just double that middle layer. And that's all there is to it. So not too bad, especially since I gave you the design. So just get that design and then be creative with it and make them how you want. Thanks, I had fun crafting with you today, and I look forward to crafting with you next week.